Hello, and welcome to another edition of Mind Your Mindset. Hello, my name is Jessica Barkley, and last time we were talking about the gap of where you are and where you want to be, or the gap of who you are and who you would like to be. Today we're going to touch on a subject, and I say touch because 15 minutes is never enough to talk about worthiness. But it is an important subject and is very linked to the one that we just finished on the last episode. So, worthiness, it's something that is very linked to how we see ourselves and how we see others at the same time. But let's first start with the basics. What is self-worth? What determines our self-worth? I know you've probably heard it many, many times that your self-worth is not determined by the things that you own, by the money that you earn, by the things that you have learned in school, and by your level of experience in certain fields. But then what is it? Self-worth is something that is just given. It's hard to really say what exactly it is, but it is a feeling of self-love and knowing that everything that you have ever desired, everything that you have ever wanted for yourself, you're totally deserving of the well-being available to you in this world. And that is a lot of well-being. So we are all equally deserving of this well-being. Then how come we don't have it in equal amounts? That's because of the way we see our deservedness and we see our self-worth. It's really more self-imposed rather than imposed by the laws of nature. The laws of nature tell us that we are worthy the minute we are born, and we are all equally worthy, and we are worthy beyond measure, beyond anything that we could have ever or could ever imagine. So there you go. So yes, let's touch on the fact that our society likes to link worthiness to the car we drive, to the material objects that we might accumulate in this lifetime, and to all the accomplishments. And we are the biggest perpetrators of this fallacy is us, ourselves. So we do it to ourselves because mind the way you look at others and others' self-worth. When you are judging others' self-worth, when you are thinking that they're not as worthy as, think about how you're looking at yourself. Are you looking at yourself as worthy? Maybe not. So loving yourself and seeing yourself as the servant of all the wonderful well-being available in this world is the most important basis for living a happy life. Self-worth will allow you not only to love yourself unconditionally, but also will allow you to let in all the goodness, all the well-being, all those things you desire, because you know you deserve them. And you do. We all do. Now, we've been conditioned to think that we earn our worth, that we must work hard for it, that we must earn the respect of others, that we must earn this and that. I'm here to tell you that that is not the case, and you might very, very well know that. Sometimes we think some people are more worthy than others because of the amount of money that they earn. But sometimes people work really, really hard to earn their money, and they don't earn nearly enough as the people who work very, very little. So what is worth? Who determines that? It is already determined for us. All we have to do is realize it and acknowledge it and be aware of it and be constantly aware of it. Not only sometimes when we do something great or when we accomplish something amazing, but all the time. We must always see ourselves as worthy. Once we discover that we can be worthy in our eyes, no matter what, then we'll be able to do it for others as well. But my recommendation is, as always, look at yourself, start within you, and you will be on your way to being able to do it for others as well. Now, worthiness is not measured It's hard to measure it. I mean, can you really measure worthiness? How will you measure it? If you're not measure it by the material things that we see in life, here in this life, how do we measure worthiness? If it's a given, how do we measure it? Well, I don't think you can measure it. I think the only thing that you can say about worthiness is that it is. It's just like us being here. We are. It's a given. It's a fact. It's there. And the only ones that can pinch us from it are our thoughts, what we think about ourselves, and how we think about ourselves. Now, many of us, me included, it's very easy to do. Measure our worthiness sometimes by the things that other people say. It's very easy to do. You do get carried away. Gosh, when somebody gives you a compliment, don't you feel like elated and on top of the world and so worthy of it? Because you are. Because that's the way it is. But when somebody says something that is not so very nice, oh my God, do we keep going at it in our mind, and we roll it in our mind, and we switch it and from one side to the other. The person that was the culprit of the insult or whatever they said of our worries, they might not even remember anymore. They might already be gone, be onto something else. But we being the recipients of the insult or the offense or the words, the harsh words, whatever it was, the comment, we keep it inside. And, I know that some people keep it well overdue time. Like, let it go. It's time to let it go. It's time that you realize that whatever people say, they say it because of the state of mind they're in. They might say it because they had trouble that morning doing something. It has a lot more to do with them than with you. And as long as you learn to recognize that, you're in safe ground. You see, when you don't feel well, when you don't feel good about yourself, that just means that you are not in congruency with your inner being, with your inner guide, with your soul, with your inner spirit, whatever you want to call it. It is important to realize that the better you feel about yourself, the more in tune you are with your inner guide, with your soul, with the true self that you are. It's a very, very easy guide. But it's one that we're not so used to, because when we're born with this worthiness. And gosh, do we cry ourselves out if we don't get what we want, right? Have you heard babies, how they cry until they get what they want? Well, that's how worthy we think we are when we're first born. But then when you grow up, your parents, your teachers, society, at large, tells you and molds you that you must work hard, I must sacrifice, I must wait, in order to get your rewards, in order to get those things that you want. While all the while within you, you say, why can't I have it now? Right? It's there. Why can't I have it now? Why must I suffer for it? Why must I wait? I want it now. I sound like a little spoiled brat, but that's how naturally we are, because we see ourselves as worthy of all the things that we want. It is then with adulthood that we start rethinking things, and we start seeing ourselves as limited in the amount of worthiness that we get. So start looking at yourself with more worthiness, and seeing as natural all the things that you really, really want in life. When you start seeing those things that you want in life as a natural consequence of your wanting, of who you are, your deservedness, then you'll be opening up that flood of well-being towards you. Really, you will. And it's easier to do. And when you start doing that, those floods of worthiness, of well-being, of feeling who you really are, of knowing who you really are, that power will take over you and will allow you to do amazing things and will inspire you to do amazing things. But until you allow that well-being, that worthiness, you are going to come up with bumps on the road as to where you want to go and the things that you want. So do like your inner being does, and look at yourself always with eyes of love, with kind eyes, and do things that make you feel good. Feeling good is the most important thing in the world. I don't care what anybody says, but we all came here to feel good, not to toil, not to suffer. We came here to feel good and to have fun and to enjoy. So therein lies your worthiness, in feeling good about yourself and about your life. Now, once you start recognizing that worthiness of your own, you will recognize the worthiness on others. And that's when you will know unconditional love. And that's when you start seeing people as in a different way. And that's when you start treating everybody differently than you did before you recognize this worthiness. And that's when you find harmony. Harmony with who you are, harmony with others, harmony with the world, which is what you want, by feeling good, by being a positive contributor to the world. So we've touched in worthiness because also it's very important to keep in mind that our worthiness is a very fragile state sometimes, depending on how we have lived our lives. So maybe we need to do things to strengthen our worthiness. One of those things is meditation. I always say that first thing in the morning. Why? Because it declutters your mind of all these unworthy thoughts, and it keeps you in a better touch with your inner being, with your inner guidance. As long as you're in good relationship with your inner guidance, you're going to be in good relationship with yourself, and you're going to see your worthiness. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is, I like to do this worthiness, there's word exercises, and sometimes I put worthiness as my word. So what I do is I put the word worthiness, and then I fill a whole page of how does it feel to be worthy. What does it mean to me to feel worthy? What does it mean to you to be worthy? To everybody is different because we're all shaped, molded, and made differently. So we all experience this life differently, thank God, because therefore all our contributions to this life are different. So what makes you feel worthy might not be the same thing as what makes others feel worthy, but it is a good use of your time to make a little list and a whole page of it. What are the feelings that come with worthiness? How do you feel when you feel worthy? Do you feel love? Do you feel secure? Do you feel happy, and do you feel accomplished? And do you feel that you're okay with who you are and where you are? And do you feel that nothing can stand in the way between what you want, who you and what you want? You see, when you start making a list of all the things, what worthiness means to you, then you start getting a little bit more clear picture of what that would feel like. And then you start acquiring those feelings. And then you start recognizing them within yourself. And once you start doing that consciously, you start living and you're creating a habit of thought. You're creating a mindset of worthiness. And when you create this mindset of worthiness, you are going to be standing a little bit taller, your shoulders a little bit more back, and a little bit straighter. You're going to be sitting straighter, and you're going to be looking at people in the eye and feeling so much more comfortable with who you are. It is a game changer. So it is very important that we realize our worthiness and we behave like that, because we are worthy. And we are worth the time investing in our worthiness. So I want to leave you with a little quote about worthiness. And here it goes. Activate the positive beliefs about yourself. This will allow you to feel your inner self's vision of you, which basically will bring you worthiness. That is your inner self's vision of you. And when you start feeling worthy, you will see that there's nothing that you cannot accomplish. And there's nothing that you cannot do. You will have to discover the power of your true self. Not only that, you will have discovered the abundance that is owed to you. Well, this is the end of this podcast. Thank you very much. This is Jessica Barkley.